It is so nice to be here. Thank you all for coming. I just came here from my hotel and I had to run in between the raindrops. And I'm going to play for you a song. I tried to bring my band, but they wouldn't fit in my suitcase, so I brought my computer, and I have a backing track. So enjoy. And if it's too loud, too bad. Very nice to be here, and thank you, because it's a lovely turnout. I didn't know there was this many people interested in what I'm doing in France. So, any questions, I'm happy to answer. Well, you know, it was a beautiful story, actually. I was in my mid-20s, and when I was working for Frank Zappa, Frank was amazing in that whenever he wanted to do something, he just did it. So he did that with guitars too. If he wanted certain things in a guitar, he would just tell somebody to do this, custom make it. So I started thinking, you know, because when I was started playing the guitar, I loved Stratocasters because they had whammy bars, but I didn't like the way they sounded. You know, they weren't rock and roll enough for me. And I loved Les Pauls because they were rock and roll, and Jimmy Page played a Les Paul. But I didn't like the way they sat, and they didn't have whammy bars, so out of the question. And all the other guitars were nice, but nothing really suited where I wanted to go with the instrument. So after when I joined Dave Roth's band, I started to experiment with making guitars, and there was this shop in Hollywood that I went to, and I kind of designed the body based on something that was very pleasing to the eye, which was sort of a Strat, but Strats were very pedestrian to me. Very kind of a little masculine, you know, and I wanted something that had some more feminine lines to it, you know. So I thought that this looked a little more pleasing, you know, to the eyes. And there was just some simple things, like the 24 frets. It was very rare at the time. Hard, if anybody had it. Maybe Jackson had it. And I could never understand why people made guitars that you couldn't really play up high. They put high frets, but you couldn't get up there. So I had this cutaway like this, and then the pickup configuration was unique because I wanted these humbuckers in these positions. But we put this switch in that was very special. It's a 5-position that would split the coil and make these 2 single coil, which gives you that beautiful Strat type tubey sound. And at the time, the locking tremolo system was popular, but I always wanted to pull up really, really high on the notes, but no guitar would do that. So I just took a hammer and a screwdriver and I chopped out all the wood underneath, and lo and behold, that was kind of the first floating system. And then just some practical things like the input jack, where it was, and moving some of the knobs. So then I had about 4 of these guitars. And then when I was with David Lee Roth, there was a lot of companies that were interested in having me play their instruments, but they wanted me to play their instruments. And none of them suited. I mean, this guitar was so suited to me now. Most of the major guitar companies tried to build me a guitar. And I said, make it like this. And Ibanez was the only company that came back with the perfect instrument, exactly the way I wanted it. And were amazingly responsive and very, very conscious of what they were doing and very supportive. So they made me the gem, and I thought, this is wonderful, thank you. And then they said, well, you know, we'd be interested in making a production line. And I thought, who's going to want this? You know, it's so specific to me. I was wrong. A lot of people wanted it. It's still a wonderfully successful guitar. So it's been almost 30 years that I've been working with Ibanez and playing this guitar, because it's me, you know, it just suits me. It's a warm place. And I have many other guitars, and you know, nothing sounds like this guitar or that guitar or that one. And I use them occasionally, but I always go right back to my gem. Well, it changes. There's two elements at play. One of them is constantly changing, and that's the way that we capture music. It's the way that we reproduce it. It's the way that we distribute it. It's the way that we listen to it. It's going to constantly change. I was talking to my son yesterday. He was 22, and he said, and we always think that wherever we are at a particular point in time, we've made it. This is it. Vinyl is the final frontier. And now, even digital, buying a track is becoming obsolete, because you've got these streaming services. And where are you going to go from streaming? It's there, you can get anything you want. But it's not there. It's still not there. Because us humans are always looking for something that's more and more convenient and instant. So until you can think of a song that you want to hear, or even whatever, and then just have it, without having to join a club, pay a payment, be in a Wi-Fi area, have the right device. This is all still, it's all still inferior. But we don't see it that way because we're in it right now and it's new. But it's all inferior, you know? So the way it's inferior to the person that's going to come along and design something new, and they will, because they always do. So how is the music business different in the 80s than it is today? It's wildly different. This is one of the things that changes too. Back then, CDs were popular in the 80s, and they sold in the millions. You had artists selling diamond, which is 10 million. If you went gold, it was almost a failure. You know, you didn't. Platinum was good. There's a lot of talk that record companies were more interested in building artists and their careers. Yeah, maybe so. There was a time when record companies started. They had really great intentions, and they were started by people who were real music lovers. And that's different than a businessman. It's the difference between a real music writer and a critic, an uninspired critic. It's in any field. There's inspired people and there's hacks, you know. And when the music business started, there was these guys, Mo Austin, Lenny Waronker, Clive Davis, Ahmet Ertegun. They were in touch. They didn't want to be musicians. They were completely. They completely resonated with the ability to look, listen, feel, and see greatness. So they cultivated that, and they made record companies, and they didn't have to so much build an artist, because they identified true artists that had no choice but to continue. How do you build David Bowie? You don't. You let David Bowie be David Bowie. He'll do all the work, you know what I mean? You just make sure that the fans get the music. He's the one that is the innovator. He's the one that's going to make the change. So, that's okay though, because now it's left up to the artist's control. They have to do it. If you're an inspired young artist these days, you have all the tools now that weren't there. You have all the ability to be extraordinarily independent right now. With things like the internet, with YouTube. If you've got the goods and you deliver them to YouTube, you'll get the hits. You know what I mean? They'll be there. And you create a story. And then the labels might find interest in you. You know what I mean? But it's all changing. The whole model of the conventional record company is just changing. Having said that, I get it all the time from artists that say, labels are not developing artists anymore. How am I going to have a career? Instrumental music is not popular anymore. How am I going to release my instrumental guitar record? And a part of me wants to say, you're right, you should just quit. Just, if you're depending on somebody else to do it for you, you don't have what it takes for the long haul. Because the people who have what it takes for the long haul don't even realize that they have what it takes for the long haul. They're just doing it. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and good luck editing this shit. Does that sound okay? Good? I'm done.